So for some reason, we always start with the Eastern Conference when it comes to these things. I'm going to start with the West because the West is better. The All-Star stuff, of course, just came out. There's been a whole lot of conversation about it. My East video will be out a couple hours from now. Looking at the starting lineup, I think it's totally fine. LeBron, AD, Kawhi, Harden, Luka. I guess the one conversation to be had is Jokic over Kawhi because of games played. Kawhi's played 36, Jokic has played 48. I'm fine with Kawhi getting in, partially because he's just a better player, and also because Jokic was not great the first month of the season or whatever. Could Gobert have had a case over Kawhi for similar reasons? Sure, but I think Jokic has been good enough lately to where I feel good saying that he's been better than Gobert overall. I didn't say that when I did my early Western Conference pick. I mean, I had them both in there, but I made a point to say Gobert has been better. But Jokic has bounced back really, really well lately, so there's that. If we move on to the second unit, Gobert, Ingram, Jokic, Dame, Donovan Mitchell, CP, and Westbrook. I think, one, finally Gobert makes it. I mean, I know some people are upset that Gobert's in the game, and yeah, from an aesthetic standpoint, I understand it, but look, man, this is the same spiel I have every season. We use all-star appearances to make Hall of Fame cases. Granted, the NBA Hall of Fame is extremely generous, or the Basketball Hall of Fame, excuse me. So, it's not as strict as baseball or anything like that. But even so, the stuff does matter. And if when Gobert retires, he's got, 5 all-star appearances and then all the defensive accolades we assume he's going to have when he retires, then he's probably going to have a pretty good case for the Hall of Fame. But if he only has 2 all-star appearances because the fan vote killed him so much that the coaches and players couldn't make up for it, then that's not fair, dude. Okay, Gobert's really good. This should be his 3rd all-star appearance, but at least we finally got him in there. And I've seen a couple people on the internet say, well, Gobert's in there for some sympathy votes. I mean, you might be right, but he shouldn't have gotten sympathy votes. He should have just gotten, this guy deserves to be in here votes. If I can take that quote out to 7 words. Anyway, if we move on to the rest. I mean, I'll just talk about PG and Towns real quick. I think looking at Ingram and pretty much all these guys when it comes to games played and everything versus PG, it is tough to make a case for Paul George. At a certain point, you just haven't played enough games compared to someone else who has just been around all season. And, I mean, if you really wanted to try hard enough, you could do the same thing with Kawhi, but at least Kawhi has played 10 more games than Paul George has, And as far as Karl Anthony Towns, it's a pretty similar thing. I mean, if Towns had been going the whole season, then he would be in here over someone. But, Kawhi's played 6 more games than Towns, and to steal something from Zach Lowe, I do think you kind of got to earn that on the bubble, we're still going to put you in all-star thing. Kawhi has definitely earned that. I don't think Karl Anthony Towns has. I think Paul George certainly has as well, but even he hasn't played enough games. So, okay, now we get to Devin Booker. Devin Booker having a great year. Would I have him in? Yes. Who would I have him in over? Probably Westbrook. And even then, it's tough to say that because Westbrook, as I said in the video yesterday, has been great in January and has been carrying a Rockets team that is not looking too good around him, especially when you look at his MVP candidate teammate. However, Devin Booker has been great since the start of this season. He was better than Westbrook for the first couple of months, and I would have had him in here over Russ. The crazy thing is, if you asked me if I thought Devin Booker had been better than Donovan Mitchell, I probably would be maybe. But I think Mitchell has kind of secured his spot in here. But see, here's the thing about the All-Star thing, right? If that would have happened, if Devin Booker gets in over whoever, then we're all crying about the other guy who didn't get in. I mean, this happens every year with the All-Star stuff. So, I don't know. It's impossible to satisfy everyone. It's impossible to even satisfy the majority of people when it comes to the All-Star selections. which is why it's so fun. And if you go in the Phoenix Suns subreddit right now, or just find some pockets of Suns Twitter, I'm sure there is endless posts and stats about, oh, well, these guys are averaging this, Booker's averaging this, and yeah, I get it. Okay. So in other words, I'm not completely outraged that Booker didn't make it. Again, if you forced me to pick, yeah, I'd probably have him in over Westbrook, but am I really upset? No. Now, if I want to give Kawhi a reputation vote, does Westbrook deserve one as well? I don't know. I mean, Westbrook is not as good as Kawhi, and Russ's efficiency, it was a real thing. I mean, this run of January has gotten his true shooting to 53% for the season, and that's still not very good. I mean, that was similar to Westbrook 2 years ago, but number one, this field's pretty tough, and two, I think even a couple years ago, Westbrook was still pretty amazing at the rebounding and the playmaking and stuff, whereas this year he's taken a dip in both of those things, so yeah. And even then, like I just mentioned before, Westbrook has been so good in January that even then I'm kind of like, well, maybe I should just have him in there over Devin Booker. Like, it's tough. It really is. I mean, could you do the same Hall of Fame spiel I just did with Booker? Yeah, but the difference between Gobert and Booker is, I think Gobert is, like, clearly maybe the best reserve this season. Well, maybe number 2 or 3 behind Jokic and Dame, so I don't know. It's tough stuff. Now, one thing is, I don't put winning as strictly as maybe other people do. So that could be a case, you know, maybe voters, whoever just said, we're going to have Westbrook over Booker because the Rockets are good. And once again, I don't think it's ridiculous to have Westbrook over Booker, even if I personally wouldn't if you forced me to pick one. Now, I'm sure some people will probably look at Chris Paul's stat line and be like, well, what the hell, the dude's averaging 17, 6, and 5, whereas Devin Booker's averaging 47. But efficiency and boring stuff that Chris Paul does every possession that doesn't result in an actual box score stat. Also defense. That stuff matters, so I'm totally cool with having CP in there. Anyway, I think that's about all I got.